Good morning and welcome to the last session of the webinars from DrayTek for 2023. So today's session we are going to be talking about maximizing connectivity potential and unlocking advanced capabilities with the DrayTek switches. This is for both DrayTek UK and Ireland. So just a quick introduction to how today is going to work. This webinar is designed for our resale partners and advanced end users and should last around about 45 minutes. The webinar is being recorded and it will be available for streaming within the 48 to 72-hour period. This will be available on your dealer portal. During today's session, I would like all attendees to use the chat functionality if you would like to raise any questions that you may have. And at the end of the presentation, we will try to cover as many of those Q&As that you send during the course of the webinar. So let's meet who's going to be on the team today to assist with this webinar. First of all, my name's Shane. I'm your proposition manager and I'll be the host. So I'll be just doing an introduction to everybody and then I'll be closing the session off today. Our presenter and actually giving the presentation itself on switches will be Doris, our technical support specialist. And then we're going to be joined by Alex, our head of product, and Lucas, our product specialist. And they will be running through the questions that you are going to be sending over to us. So let me pass you over to Doris, and there we go.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar will focus on the overview of switches and the range of switch products that DrayTek currently offers. We will also talk about the features available on these switches, management solutions, and then there will be a Q&A session at the end. So let's get started. What is a switch? So a network switch is a crucial component in building a computer network. It allows multiple devices such as computers, printers, and servers to connect and communicate with each other within a local area network. We can think of a network switch as a traffic intersection where data packets from different devices are directed to their intended destinations. A network switch learns the identities of connected devices and then only forwards data to the port connected to the device. Without a switch, devices will have to communicate directly with one another, creating congestion and inefficiency. In summary, a network switch is essential for efficiently managing and directing data traffic within a network, leading to better performance and communication between devices. Switches and routers are both types of computer networking devices. They're both used to connect devices, but they have different functions, and we will talk about the differences between the two. A switch connects multiple devices together to create a local area network. And just like a switch, a router connects multiple switches together to create an even larger network, which may be in a single location or across multiple locations. In practice, what this means is that routers are necessary for an internet connection, while switches are only used for interconnecting devices. Homes and small offices need routers for internet access, but most do not need a network switch unless they require a large amount of Ethernet ports. However, large offices, networks, and data centers with dozens or hundreds of computers usually do require switches. Network switches can operate at either OSI layer 2, also known as the data link layer, or layer 3, also known as the network layer. A layer 2 switch forwards data based on the destination MAC address, while layer 3 switches forward data based on the destination IP address. Some switches can do both. Routers, on the other hand, operate at OSI layer 3, known as the network layer, using IP addresses to route data across networks. Let's talk about what to look for when buying a switch. Whether you have a small business or enterprise organization, your network needs to keep several users reliably and securely connected around the clock. Buying the best network switch is important because the performance of your network can be determined by it. Selecting and buying a network switch can be quite a task for many, as there are so many options. However, by understanding the specifications and the key decisions to make, buying the best network switch for a given situation can be made much easier. So let's count down some factors to consider in relation to your network needs. First point to consider is the user count or number of ports. It's worth carefully considering the number of ports that are needed for the switch. One port is needed for each device that is connected, whether it's a computer, printer, scanner, or whatever type of device it may be. It's worth listing the number of devices for which connections are required, and then look at whether any expansion might be needed. Often it helps to have a little extra flexibility and room for expansion later, so one or two extra ports can be a real advantage. Another point to consider is power over Ethernet capability. You may have access points, IP cameras, or other devices that can get their electricity through power over Ethernet, also known as PoE. In many cases, you'll be placing your access points in locations that make traditional power outlets hard to reach. You want to look for a network switch with Ethernet ports that can support your PoE needs of your network. Another point to consider is speed. If you're transferring a lot of data, you want to make sure you have ports that can handle your need for speed. So look for 10, 100, or 1000. These are known as gigabit ports. These ports will automatically sense and use the fastest speed shared by the sending and receiving devices. For larger local area networks, even the faster 10 gigabit Ethernet can be used. Another point to consider is noise levels. Although very small network switches will not have a fan and there will be convection cold, larger switches will require cooling. As a result, they have fans. The noise levels emitted by these switches can be disturbing if they are located close to desks or areas where people may need quietness. So it's worth considering the noise emitted if this is likely to be an issue. We'll now go over the range of switches that DrayTek currently offers. There are four DrayTek switch categories. We'll talk about them in details and all the models under each of these categories. Coming in first is the Smart Light range of switches. These switches are suitable for a simple network, which would like to increase the number of ports, but also we want to set up VLANs. Installation and deployment are easy just by plugging in the cable with no need for making any configuration. These switches offer basic features such as VLANs, QoS, IGMP, loop prevention, port mirror, and so on. Under the next category is the web switch category. The web smart switch models offer more complete functionalities like spanning tree, SNMP, DOS defense, and so on. They're suitable for networks that need efficiency and scalability. These models can also be managed centrally, which we will discuss later on. Here we've got the models that fall under the web smart switch category. We've got the 8-port Vigo switch G1085, the 24-port G1282 and the 24-port P1282 switches. The G and the P1282 switches come with combo ports, which means they've got an extra 4 ports which can be used in RJ45 or SFP connection. We've now come to the top switches that DrayTek offers, which are the Layer 2 and the Layer 2 Plus switch categories. The Layer 2 managed switches offer features like IGMP Courier, GVRP, Surveillance VLAN, and so on. They also allow the administrator to set up a secure environment with features such as ACL, reduced authentication, source IP guard, and so on. The Layer 2 Plus managed switches offer some Layer 3 features such as static routing and DHCP server. In addition to the Layer 2 managed features, the Layer 2 Plus switches can improve network performance by taking the load off the routers. There are currently 11 switch models in the Layer 2 Plus managed category, ranging from 8-port switch to 48-port switches. DrayTek switches are categorized into different series. Here we've got the G series, which comprises of all gigabit ports. The P series are PoE capable. The F series are all fiber ports. The X series are 10 gigabit capable, and the Q series have 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports. You would see this in the switch module names. For example, here we've got the Vigo switch P2540XS. The table breaks down the meaning behind the model name. So the P stands for PoE, 2 means it's layer 2 plus, 54 means it has 54 ports in total, 0 is a hardware version, X means it's 10 gigabit capable, and S stands for SDN. DrayTek switches. DrayTek has a range of PoE switches. PoE is great for connecting access points, cameras, and phones without needing separate power supply for each item. PoE can deliver power and data over one Ethernet cable. So cameras and access points can be installed outdoors using a single cable without needing to source power outdoors. DrayTek PoE switches have a high power budget per port. For example, here we've got the P2280X, which has 400 watts to power its 28 ports, so it can easily run every port at full spec. The top 2 and the bottom 2 switches in the table have a smart fan, so the fan runs only as fast as needed, making them much suitable for use outside of a rack. The Vigo switch P2100 runs without a fan, making it silent. So we've got the PoE standards supported on DrayTek switches, starting with PoE or the 802.3AF, which supports up to 15.4 watts per port. This is available on all Vigo switches. And then the PoE Plus standard, supplying up to 30 watts per port, also available on all DrayTek switches, PoE switches. And then we've got the PoE++, supplying up to 90 watts per port. This is only available on the PQ2200XP switch. PoE feature on DrayTek switches can help automate quite a lot of the maintenance work. If there is a problem with a port, you can track it down on the switch dashboard. If a device stops responding, the device check feature can automatically restart the device, like an access point or camera, which is very handy if that camera or access point is installed outdoor and up a pole. With scheduling, you can schedule PoE to individual ports and monitor the status of the connected device. So for example, you can set your access point to be only powered on during business hours and so on. With PoE priority, you can set the importance of the PoE devices connected to each port. Essential ports can be set to either critical priority. Less important ports can be set to low priority. When there's a power shortage, the switch can stop power to low priority ports and then high priority until there's enough PoE power. Ten gigabit Ethernet uses two types of link, which is RJ45 or SFP+. Out of these two, DrayTek uses SFP+ for 10 gigabit connection. DrayTek provides the 10 gigabit capable fiber SFP ports for aggregation or uplinking to core switches. The DrayTek direct attach cable simplifies the installation. The direct attach cable supports 1 gigabit and 10 gigabit speeds and come in 1 meter and 3 meter lengths. Also, any SFP module that meets the SFP specification and standards should be compatible with any SFP ports of current DrayTek switches. We'll now go over some of the features available on our current flagship switch, which is the Vigo P2540XS switch. Okay, so let me formally introduce you to the Vigo switch P2540XS. This switch comes with 24 ports in total, 48 of which are gigabit ports and 6 of which are SFP plus 10 gigabit ports. It's ideal to use as a core switch for small, medium enterprises and businesses. The switch is a layer 2 fully managed switch. We'll now go over some features you'll find on this switch in the next slides. The P2540XS switch adds layer 3 features such as VLAN routing, DHCP server, and static route, which allows the switch to provide routing between VLANs at full speed. With VLAN routing, a DrayTek switch normally provides connectivity with VLAN tags, which separate networks at layer 2 using the MAC address, and relying on a router to connect different networks. However, the layer 2 plot switches using VLAN routing allows for layer 3 routing using IP address, so it can connect different IP subnets. The P2540XS can also route beyond its local subnets to internet and across VPNs, using the switch to direct traffic to remote subnets through the correct gateway. Up to 512 static routes can be configured on this switch. The 2540XS switch also has an integrated DHCP server to provide IP addressing to as many as 8 subnets on the switch. It can also do DHCP relay to another server. Each DHCP pool can have as many as 1,023 IP addresses, 7 up to potentially 8,000 devices. So this allows for an expansive network and taking the load off a router. With bind IP to MAC, IP addresses can easily be reserved for individual devices such as servers, phones, cameras, and more. Using the IP conflict detection, The switch can detect and notify an admin when IP conflict is detected on the network. It can easily track down conflicts and take actions to resolve them. The IP conflict prevention allows switch to automatically protect against IP conflicts and app spoofing. If another device attempts to use an IP address that's already in use, the Vigo switch can block it and only communicates with the devices that are known and have the correct IPs. Quality of service tag can be used to prioritize latency-sensitive applications like VoIP and video conferencing. The auto voice VLAN allows the switch to automatically assign VoIP devices to separate VLAN, regardless of whatever port the device is connected to. And bandwidth control can be used to control or set the throughput usage per port. The switch also supports OnVIF, which allows to manage compatible IP cameras and NVR system. Using this feature, you can view connected feeds of cameras connected on the switch. The switch can also send an alert, say if a camera goes offline, it can send an alert with a snapshot of the last image taken from the camera. So this helps with troubleshooting and diagnostics. You can stay in control of what's connected to your network using the security and the management features available on the Vigo switch. Similar to a firewall, the access control list can control which packet types, for example, IPv4, MAC address, IPv6 traffic, allowed to pass through the switch ports. With DHCP snooping, you can limit the DHCP server's responses to only a specified port, so to stop unauthorized devices from connecting to the network. An IP source guard can be used to protect against address spoofing. You can also control access to the LAN ports of the switch through a radio server. This can be used to authenticate a device that connects to the switch port before it's allowed to connect to the network. You can control login to the switch management with the switch's own internal user account or through a central Radius TACAC server. Here we've got additional features that are also available on the P2540X switch, which include IGMP, querying, and snooping. This is used to control how multicast traffic is forwarded through the switch. We've also got auto surveillance, which allows the switch to detect traffic from IP cameras and prioritizes those traffic. IPv6 is also supported on the switch, and we've got ACL for IPv6 traffic and MDL snooping for controlling IPv6 multicast traffic. Link aggregation is also supported. 2 or more network ports can be used to connect the Vigo P2540X switch to another switch or server. Traffic can be shared between the 2 ports, effectively doubling the bandwidth of the uplink and providing resilience should one of the links fail. Up to 8 ports can be added to a single link aggregation group. Now, this protocol is also compatible with other switch vendors. The MAC-based VLANs can be set up to assign devices to VLANs based on their MAC address. The Vigo switch also ensures safe and continuous operation with hardware monitoring. We can track the switch temperature, voltage, and fan status over a period of time. The smart fan control ensures the switch increases its fan speed as required, slowing down the fans at lower operating temperatures and the PoE power loads. This allows the switch to notify you if a fan fails or if PoE usage is too high or if the switch temperature exceeds its operating limit. Should the switch overheat, it can temporarily reduce its PoE power budget to cool down and continue powering critical devices. It will automatically resume normal service and full PoE power budget once the switch returns to a safe temperature. We'll now talk about the various ways a DrayTek switch can be managed in the next slides. The DrayTek switch P2540X can operate in the standalone mode and can be managed through its web interface. If you need to manage and monitor the switch remotely or have various DrayTek switches to administer, you can centrally manage and monitor them either with other platforms we'll discuss next. The Vigo switch can be managed through a DrayTek router. This allows you to add switches and configure VLANs, and from here, through the router, you can also see the switch hierarchy and the port settings. The DrayTek Vigo Connect software can be used to manage and provision a Vigo switch on a single site. Vigo Connect is designed for a small to large it's designed for small to large scale local management of DrayTek access points and switches. You can manage up to 100 DrayTek devices using this software. It's available free of charge and there is no yearly licensing fees. Vigo Connect can give you an overview, status, and usage of all the Vigo switches on your network. You can easily locate new switch connected to the network and it will configure them to join the management system. Through the Vigo Connect software, you can view the switch dashboard, can monitor the CPE actions, can create VLANs, can select ports to join VLANs, or you can set up PoE for selected switches. You also get notified when a switch gets disconnected. You can also set up a schedule for off-hour firmware upgrade or configuration backup and restore. For larger networks and remote management, there is the Vigo ACS platform, which can be used to centrally manage and monitor DrayTek switches. Now, Vigo ACS can manage an unlimited amount of DrayTek devices. Just like the features are similar to Vigo Connect, which we discussed previously. So you have auto provisioning, monitoring, you can view statistics, get reports, generate reports, and schedule maintenance. We'll talk about the benefits of having an all DrayTek ecosystem on your network. The first would be to minimize compatibility problems. So DrayTek devices are designed to work best with each other. Not that they can't work well with other vendors. It's just that certain features you're guaranteed will work well with each other. Things like VPN connection or the DrayTek wireless mesh. So using all DrayTek devices, you can take advantage of these features and guarantee that they will work well with each other. Another point is a single point of contact. It's just easier dealing with one vendor when it comes to getting support for your devices. And DrayTek support is free for any product purchased, and you only have one phone number to call should you need help for any questions or any issues you have with your products. There is a saying that goes, one guy to whack. So what that means is you only have one vendor to take responsibility in getting your problems resolved. So what this means is if you say you're having an issue, we can deal with it. We can deal with it in a efficient, quick, efficient manner because all the devices are DrayTek. So we can work in a quick, efficient manner to get the issue resolved. In contrast to this, where you have a multi-vendor environment where you can go from having one vendor blaming each other and not getting anywhere with your issue. So faster deployment, setting up the network and staff training can be done very quickly as the usability and style of control is the same. So DrayTek devices come with the same interface design, so it makes it easier to roll out solutions very quickly, and training can be also done very quickly since all the devices have similar interface and setup instructions. Another point is centralized management. So you can use the Vigo ACS platform to manage all your DrayTek devices, be that routers, switches, and access points. Also, this makes for faster deployment. So in summary, DrayTek offers a range of switches ranging from 8 to 48 port PoE gigabit switches, and also supports SFP fiber connections to deliver robust performance and intelligent switching for your growing network. So here concludes our technical presentation today. On the screen, you see our useful links, which you can refer to see the full DrayTek switch matrix. Another link there is for the SFP modules that we've tested compatible with our switches. And then there's a link to the dealer portal for beta firmware trials. We'll now finish up with a Q&A session to answer any questions that you may have had during this presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Doris. I mean, that just shows you a switch is not just a switch anymore. So there's a lot of things to actually consider. I see there's actually quite a few questions that have actually come through at the moment. Just looking at it, we've probably got about 10, 15. So please keep them coming in. But I'm going to pass you over to Alex, who's going to be reading out the questions, and Lucas, who's going to be answering some. Thank you. Alex.
Thank you very much, Shane. So yes, thank you for asking all your questions during the webinar. We've been replying to you directly through the chat, and we'll continue to do so as well. But we're going to pick out some of the questions now and answer them over the audio, so it's for the benefit of everyone. So if we start, actually goes kind of a little bit back to the beginning of the presentation, which is just a question of what's the difference between a managed and unmanaged switch? So I believe I've got Lucas here who's going to be able to take that for us.
Hello guys, yes, I'm gonna quickly try to answer all your questions here. So one of them is the difference between the managed and unmanaged switch. So basically unmanaged switches are designed to just plug in and run. So no, out of the box, you have a switch which doesn't really need any settings to be configured, and these are just fine to use in small networks with some basic needs. So managed switches, however, are fully configurable, are customizable, and provide a range of data on performance. So you can think about like managing your performance, bandwidth, or VLANs. Then you probably need a managed switch. And if you have a simple network or single subnet, no VLANs, then probably the unmanaged switch is an easy option to choose.
Thank you, because yeah, unmanaged switches don't actually have a management plane, so they don't have an IP address or anything like that, so they don't have an interface for you to log into. But also the managed switches by default will work. You don't actually have to necessarily configure anything for them to do their basic switching, but it does mean that if you want to do extra stuff on top, like VLANs or other fancy things, then you log into the web interface on its IP address. Actually, relating to IP, there's a question about whether or not the switches support IPv6.
So yes, the answer is yes. Our DrayTek switches do support IPv4 and IPv6 protocols.
Thank you, Lukas. Yeah, so they support dual stack for management. That means you can manage them on an IPv4 or an IPv6 address, but also there are some IPv6 features to do with, for example, they could offer DHCP v6 as to devices as well. If you want to check into more details, because there's different levels of layers and things on that, you can see these full IPv6 features for each switch in its specification on the product webpage. Next question is about switch layers. So if someone has a layer 2 plus switch, because Doris talked a bit about that, some of those will have some basic routing. Could that be used connected to the internet as a router? Then is the question.
Oh, that's a very interesting question. So I wouldn't do that really. You still need a router for proper network and routing purposes.
And also cost a firewall.
Yes. I think the key point here is not really that most of us still use. So and it's gonna stay with us for probably ever.
Yeah, so I think in some cases, I think in some more it's kind of internal networks of possibly a layer 2 plus switch might be feasible as some part of it, but generally, yeah, we'd recommend you use a router because of the ability to do NAT and all those other bits and pieces when it comes to things. Next question is about PoE plus. Are those compatible with PoE plus and PoE devices, or does PoE plus plus only work with the PoE plus plus devices?
Oh, right. So yes, the PoE technology, which is power over Ethernet, is like a third iteration now, and it might be confusing because let's start from the beginning. We had a PoE standards protocol that would power our IP phones, etc. Then more power-hungry devices would use PoE plus, and our latest PoE products support the PoE plus plus. It's backward compatible with PoE plus devices, so PoE plus plus switches can power PoE single plus devices, but the reverse is impossible.
Thank you, Lukas. And question about back to the layer 2 switch stuff. Do the layer 2 plus switches support DHCP relay on the DrayTek range?
Definitely yes. DHCP relay can be configured on DrayTek layer 2 plus switches. So if you need that option, then you can use the switch instead of the router or a server.
Thank you. And now just another feature question to do with VLAN tagging. Does the G1080 switch, which is kind of lower end and it's kind of companion product is similar as the G2100 and P2100. Do they support VLAN tagging?
So this is a very low-level switch. However, you'll be surprised, it actually comes with the interface as well, and you can configure VLAN tags on this particular switch. So basically, every single DrayTek switch available does support that feature.
Thank you. Actually, on that point, there's a comparison chart that is very useful. So I will send that to the audience, but we'll also include that in the follow-up. The comparison chart has quite a nice breakdown of the different features. And so I mean, the spec page on each individual one has everything, but it has a nice layout of all the different kind of features, so you can quite quickly cross-reference if you're trying to look at what you might need for a specific project. Now, a question about the extended warranty. I think people probably heard of VigoCare, which people have used with the routers. The question is, can you get that extended warranty where you change your 2-year warranty to a 3 or a 5-year warranty, including advanced replacement? Is that something that you can do for the Vigo switch range?
So yes, VigoCare can be purchased and registered within 6 months of purchase of your Vigo switch. You can opt for the 3 or 5 years warranty, and should you develop a fault, then you will receive a next working day replacement unit, or as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. I believe it's 30 days within purchase is the idea for the Vigo. I think you register it within 30 days of the purchase of the hardware that you're getting with it, rather than the 6 months. But yeah, thank you. And question now about rack mountability. Can the DrayTek switches be rack mountable?
That's a good question as well, and all but 1080 can be mounted, yes. So except the G1080 switch, all other current switch models is covered in today's webinar as well, are rack mountable.
And is there a separate kit you need to purchase for those?
Oh, no, that's another good question, or I should have expanded that, yes. So you will find the mounting brackets in the box, so you don't have to buy anything extra. It all comes with the switch.
The little wings, aren't they? I think they're slightly different widths depending on the original width of the switch. Some of them are full cabinet width, so they're kind of quite small, but I think some of the smaller ones have like a slightly bigger wing that allows you to attach on. And that 1080 is so small, you could like it's like, I don't know, it's not very large at all, is it? So it's the sort of thing you might just pop on top of something when it comes to it. It's quite a small little device, the G1080. Okay, now here's questions about some of the features. So can the switch send any alerts to notifications on events?
So for example, your camera goes offline, and many DrayTek switches can be configured to send email using the SMTP. So that can be linked with the switch, and the admin basically would be notified that, oh, something is happening on the network. So yes, the notification feature is available on DrayTek switches. You can also use Vigo ACS for some extra notification options.
Oh yes, of course, because it would send it to Vigo ACS or Vigo Connect, and then the mechanism in Vigo ACS could then potentially send it on to administrator, which leads us quite nicely on to the question I've got here, which is about the differences between Vigo ACS and Vigo Connect, because Doris mentioned both, the Vigo Connect system and the Vigo ACS system, and kind of what's the kind of main differences between the two?
All right, okay, so Vigo Connect is like an in-house management platform, so you can link up to 100 nodes, so you can connect your DrayTek switches or DrayTek wireless access points.
So it's an on-premise then, where you'd have it in the same building.
That's right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And whereas Vigo ACS, you can have it indoors or use it from on our servers in cloud, and that allows you to virtually unlimited number of nodes to be connected. So so it's a good starting point to use your the Vigo Connect platform, which is free. Then you can move on to the Vigo ACS. And if you contact our sales team, they probably can get you some discounts right now. It's a good time to sign up for that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Vigo ACS would be one way. If you've got lots and lots of different sites around the country, it would be Vigo ACS you look at. Whereas if you've got, like, say, a single site where you wanted to do some local management, then Vigo Connect would be the one you'd look at. I believe in some cases you can actually get Vigo Connect doing some stuff through LAN to LANs to do it, but it's primarily really for local management of devices. So what other questions do we have? So there's a follow-up question actually to the thing that I think Doris showed at the end, to do with the modules. I think at the last slide, which will also include in the follow-up, there was a link to the SFP plus modules that are supported. So the question though was, if someone's got a module that's not in that list, will it be supported by one of our switches?
SFP modules we're talking about. Yes,
that's right.
So DrayTek devices, including the switches, they're not locked to any specific vendor or DrayTek modules. You can use any module, and most should really work. We have a website with all the tested SFPs, but there are more than that.
There's so many.
That's one of so many.
Yeah. Generally, the module, if the module is locked to a specific, so if it's, say, a module that's specifically designed for use with one manufacturer, it may not work with our switch, because it might be that module is designed and locked only to work with that manufacturer. There are some manufacturers where they'll only accept modules that are specific to their brand, but with the DrayTek range, there is no kind of lock-in to do with vendors on there, so it'll accept anything. So basically, if it supports the standard SFP kind of protocols, then it'll be fine. I would have thought with the DrayTek thing. So typically, it would be something that's kind of got the fiber or an RJ45 port on it as an interface type. If it's some completely different interface type, if it was like some SFP that had, I don't know, a VDSL modem or something crazy in it, and it's unlikely to work with the switch. But I don't think that's really how you tend to be using it. It's more for doing an uplink between two devices at longer distances.
That's what I like about DrayTek, that the platform is kind of open, so any SFP modules can be used. The operating system is license free because it comes with the device, and you get free upgrades as well. So please check our website for the updates on the latest firmware. You can manage the switches through our routers. Doris covered that, so the central switch management is available there. That's free of charge, and then you can use Vigo Connect, or you can purchase the license for Vigo ACS management platform.
Thank you. And last question is about stackability. So it's about whether or not the switches support stacking. I mean, of course, you can connect the switches together from one to another, but there is specifically a feature called stacking where you get a kind of a single plane, so you can log into one interface to see all of your ports that are in all the switches on your network. So the question is, do DrayTek support stacking in that manner?
So we are going to have the 2282X series switches, and they will officially support that feature. So please bear with us. You can still use your switches like connected to each other and use uplinks, SFP uplinks as well, which will allow you to connect multiple devices. But stacking is basically for the reasons where you want to manage multiple switches, but they would be presented as on a single interface, single dashboard. So
so there aren't any that currently support stacking, but there may be in the future we've got some that are going to be added to the range that support stacking. So watch out for any new launches. Now a question about, are there any plans for core fiber switches that support kind of fiber only on them?
So the SFP FX2120 switch could be the solution for you guys. Many customers do use it as a core switch. So I'd recommend you guys to check it out. It's a really good, reliable switch.
So that is a 12-port switch that has 12 SFP plus modules, so that can support up to 10 gig per port. So that's a good one to consider if you're looking for something to connect lots of fiber connections to. So that's in the range. There may be others in the range, of course, in the future, but yeah, for the FX2120 is a good one to check out. Yeah, I see the comment from someone who asked that has actually just come and said that they've forgotten that. But yeah, it's not necessarily that well known because it doesn't fit in the comparison charts that well when it comes to it, because it's slightly different to a lot of the other range. And of course, that switch can easily connect to a lot of our other switches because almost all of them now have SFP stuff on it. Actually, the suffix, the X in the product name indicates it's got a 10 gig SFP capability, either 2 or 4 ports typically. So that's a good way of checking to see if you can have that higher kind of interconnection speed. So I think we've got through all our questions now. Let me see if there's any of us that we've missed. Just looking through. Oh, here's one last question to do with DHCP. So can you get the switch to offer DHCP instead of the router? And if you do that, how do other switches on the network obtain an IP address?
So yes, definitely, you can set up a switch to be also the DHCP server. Most other switches do come with that feature, and I don't see why. Although most people probably still use the router or a dedicated DHCP server. That depends of the network topology, how many clients, and what the traffic and performance is required for each subnet. So that again depends on the topology, guys. But in general, people would still stick to a router, and DrayTek routers do come with DHCP option for every single subnet, and that's a reliable option to use.
Good, thank you very much. Lucas and Alex for answering those questions and giving those answers. Thank you. So this kind of brings us to the end of 2023 webinar. I just want to wish and thank everybody for attending today, and this will kick off again towards the back end of January. Hopefully we'll be having an opportunity to show you some new devices next time. So please look out for our emails and registrations for these webinars. I'm just wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thank you.